Yes, come in.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir.
Please sit down.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Gupta, why do you wish to join civil service?
Sir, I wish to join civil services as it would provide me an opportunity to be part of the government organization. Secondly, the career prospects of civil services are also very aspiring. And lastly, the variety of challenges that civil services has would enable me to recognize and optimize my self-potential.
So what qualities will you bring to this job?
Sir, I think I have integrity and compassion. I'm also emotionally intelligent. And thirdly, I'm a dedicated and hardworking person.
Good. This, I believe, is your first attempt because you passed in 2017.
Yes.
English literature.
Yes.
Can you tell us why is our constitution bulky?
Sir, there are several reasons which amount to bulkiness of our constitution. First is the number of articles. We have detailed provisions with regard to them. Second, ours is a federal country. However, the constitution of the center and the state is similar. So the provisions with regard to the state are also there. These are some reasons.
Okay, what is judicial review?
Judicial review is the provision which enables judiciary to review the law and see the sanctity of the law in compliance with the constitutional provisions.
Does it make judiciary supreme and disturbs the balance of power among institutions?
No, sir. In our constitution, balance of power between all the organs have been provided. Judicial review only ensures that the law stands in the constitutional compliance and does not make judiciary supreme among other institutions.
Okay. Can you tell us about a few judgments, recent ones, which upheld some of the rights against state action or laws which were there, or administrative decisions?
So the latest judgments which upheld people's right is first the decriminalization of homosexuality. Second is the right to privacy which has been explicitly held under Article 21. Third is with regard to the Sabrimala case. These are.
Okay. Now there was another on adultery. Adultery was decriminalized. Why do you think it was decriminalized?
Sir, the law related to adultery reflects Victorian morality and does not uphold the modern and the progressive society of 21st century, and it limited women's potential and her authority over her own being. That is why this law.
Why do you say Victorian? Is it still an offence in other countries?
No, sir, it's not an offence
In the
other
country
countries.
of origin you said, talked of?
No, sir, but when the Victorian rule was there, it was true back then.
What was the basic problem here?
So basic problem in adultery is that it limits women's authority over her own sexuality, and it considered that women is a product or something to be held by a man. It's a man who can decide with regard to women's sexual choices.
Okay, can you tell us about this? There was a Supreme Court judgment on in case of conflict between the Lieutenant Governor and the Delhi government. What was that judgment?
So that judgment upheld the sanctity of the state elected government of Delhi. It aimed at that the aid and advice of the Council of Minister and Chief Minister of Delhi would be founded on the Lieutenant Governor unless in a very rare case comes up wherein the Lieutenant Governor would be having its discretion.
Okay, there are three subjects. What are the three subjects which are?
So there are three subjects: public order, police and land.
Okay, can you tell us about some NGT orders concerning pollution in Delhi?
So to curb the menace of air pollution, NGT in the recent times have come up with various orders. First is the graded response action plan, which says that there would be certain activities prohibited in case the pollution levels reach certain levels. The second is the with regard to the non-plying of the CNG vehicles in Delhi. These are some.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Rishita. You said you have emotional intelligence. How does it help in administration?
So emotional intelligence enables a person to understand his own emotions and that of people around him. In administration, it is the prime duty to be able to empathize with people's needs and concerns. And in that regard, emotional intelligence would make an administrator capable of fulfilling his duties in the most optimum manner.
Okay. What is good governance?
Good governance is a way of ensuring the governance with regard to with absolute law and integrity. It includes transparency, accountability, responsiveness, morality, etc.
Morality? Morality. There are some other features. If you have read good governance, there are 8 tenets as defined by World Bank. So you mentioned transparency, accountability,
Consensus building,
consensus building or participatory nature, responsive administration. Then what else? Rule of law.
Rule of law. Yes.
What is rule of law?
So rule of law means that the law should be followed in the right spirit.
Not only follow. Nobody is above law.
Yes. Sorry, sir.
Everybody is equal before law.
Yes.
Okay, tell me, how many UTs are there in India?
There are 7 union territories in India.
There are some union territories with assemblies. Which are there?
Delhi and Puducherry have
Puducherry. So, okay. Now let me come to, the 73rd and 74th constitutional amendment. You know?
Yes, sir.
What does they offer?
So 73rd and 74th Amendment Acts of the Constitution constitutionalize the status of the local bodies at the municipal level and the panchayat level. So it gave a constitutional status.
Then
These
what
bodies.
else?
These also have provision with regard to reservation for women at the local level, 33% reservation for women, and reservation also for the people belonging to the backward castes.
Not
This-
backward classes. SCST.
SCSTs. There's also a provision of State Finance Commission,
Hmm.
which would decide the distribution of finances between the state and the local bodies. It also establishes State Election Commission for election to these local
For
bodies.
periodic elections.
Yes.
Okay. You have read about Gram Swaraj concept of Gandhiji? Gram Swaraj concept of Gandhiji. Have you read about
Yes,
it?
sir.
Is it any way different than this local self-government? What do you find the difference? Local self-government as per our Indian constitution with the amendment provisions. Then Gram Swaraj. Gandhiji had advocated for Gram Swaraj.
So, sir, Gandhiji's vision of Gram Swaraj was that the Gram Swaraj should be the only unit in a democratic governance, and there should not be a larger government that we have at the center and the state level. He also believed that the entire powers should be devoluted at these local levels to the Gram Swaraj. However, in the current scenario, we have these local governments as the third tier of the government, which are the part of the federal system of the center state and then the third tier level of the government. And with regard to the autonomy and authority as well, the current Panchayati Raj systems are less as compared to the Gram Swaraj as was envisioned by Mahatma Gandhi.
Little bit more, because Gandhiji said there is nothing above this village, in that Gram Swaraj. They are the village centric, or entire the north center is village.
Yes.
Yeah. So here there is a state government, there is a central government. There the local self-government means more power. It is democratic decentralization. Democracy is also there with the local self-governments.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're from Central Delhi. What are the main problems that you see?
Now, first is with regard to water. There is disrupt in the water supply. Second is with regard to the garbage management. Third is with regard to the pollution level, which is part of the general Delhi's pollution. These are some.
So dealing with pollution, what are the reasons why Delhi is becoming such a polluted city, especially air pollution? Tell me something about it.
And there are various reasons with regard to the pollution in Delhi. First is the geography of Delhi. Delhi is a plain city and the air also happens to settle at the lower temperatures. Second is the stubble burning that takes place in the vicinity, because of which pollution is there in Delhi. Third is the Badapur power plant which is there. Fourth are brick kilns.
Badapur power plant has been closed.
It has been closed now, sorry.
What else?
The brick kilns that are there.
Yes.
Then construction, that are regular constructions going place in Delhi. These are some.
And then the road dust
The route.
and the transport.
Yes, sorry. Yes.
Those are all major factors. So how can we address these problems first? And is there any body which has looked into this pollution problem and given directives?
And there could be various ways of addressing this pollution. First is the preventive measures, in which, for example, we have closed Badapur plant. We can leverage technology for brick kilns, then the Z-based models that are there. Then we can also go for mechanized road cleaning.
Yes.
Then we could have general rationing of number of cars plying on the roads, the Singapore, etc. have done. And more important in this regard is the law enforcement and involvement of multiple agencies and coordination.
So there's an NGT. What does NGT stand for?
NGT stands for National Green Tribunal.
So have they given some directives regarding pollution in Delhi?
Yes,
and
ma'am.
NCR? Tell me what are some of the directions that you are aware of?
First is that decommissioning of the CNG vehicle, of the diesel vehicles, old diesel vehicles in Delhi. Second,
How old?
sorry ma'am, I'm not talking. Secondly is with regard to
trucks coming into Delhi?
there's a limitation on the number of the time in which those trucks
Yes.
can fly.
Anything else?
These are some things that
Have they also imposed some fines on neighboring states?
sorry ma'am, I'm
Okay,
not
just
talking.
read that. Now another problem that we are involved with is safety of women in Delhi. That's a major issue. Can you recommend some steps to improve safety of women? Some practical steps.
Some are already being taken by Delhi Police. First is the Himmat app that has enabled women. Second is the women helpline numbers. Third, we require patrolling, effective patrolling, including women in that
Alright.
case. Then proper infrastructure, for instance, lightings at night places. Then public transport safety should also be seen. These are some.
And what about attitudinal change
Yes, ma'am.
in
That's
schools and colleges?
that's
Teach our young boys
yes,
to
ma'am.
respect women. That's one way.
The parenting and the moral values.
Now we have the Jamuna River. How polluted is it?
Yamuna River is one of the most polluted rivers in India, and it's the degree of pollution is that there is absolute zero oxygen in most of the areas of Yamuna River, which would support any aquatic life.
So if you had to give a scheme for cleaning of the river, what would you say? What steps would you identify?
Now, first would be that we should install and see the maintenance for sewage treatment plant and effluent treatment plants. Second is involving the society, as Delhi government has recently done, that it has talked to various saints and school children to spread awareness with regard to the cleanliness of the river. Third is supporting voluntary organizations. The government should incentivize and support them through capital, etc., up to these voluntary organizations.
So we have a major problem during festivals, whether it is, the Ganpati festival or the Kali Puja festival, and we have these idols which have to be immersed.
Yes, ma'am.
What can be done in relation to the immersion of idols?
Now, for this idea of Surat government could be, the Gujarat government in Surat could be adopted. They have ensured that the eco-friendly idols are made.
Yes.
That could be done. The second could be people would be encouraged to immerse idols in small ponds in their
Yes.
homes.
So what was
etc.
the river that has been taken care of in Surat?
Sorry, ma'am.
Tapti.
The Tap.
Okay, what else?
These
And the
are
height of the idol should not be beyond a certain.
yes, that could also.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Gupta,
Yes, sir.
a student of public administration, right? What role is played or can be played by the NGOs in public administration?
So NGO can play a crucial role in ensuring that the last mile reach of the benefits or the services of the government could reach to the people. Secondly, they could also ensure consensus building among the stakeholders. These
Any instance that comes to your mind where NGOs have played a very important role?
Yes, sir. With regard to the passing of the Right to Information Bill, the MKSS had played a crucial role in ensuring that right to information becomes a fundamental right of people.
Some of the NGOs receive a lot of funds from abroad. Do you think that should be encouraged, or should there be any check on that?
So funding is very important for NGOs to discharge their duties. With regard to the foreign contribution, I think regulations should be there, but entire curbing of the foreign funding of the NGOs should not be there.
There is already a law we have at present.
Yes.
What is that law?
So there is with regard to the auditing of the NGOs, that an NGO receiving certain amount of funds would be audited by the CAG. Then they also have to present their financials in particular time periods. So strict enforcement of that law should be there.
Okay. What is the significance of all India services?
So all India services envisages at the unity of the country. They work at the centre as well as the state level. So the federal structure would be strengthened with the role played by all India services.
Should there be more all India services?
So with regard to various services, all India services, new all India services have been proposed. Public health and judicial services, for instance. I think yes, there should be more all India services because this improves the unity fabric and brings the right and the most brightest talent into these services.
The bureaucrat political nexus that is coming for lot of criticism and also scrutiny. What is your take on that?
So the bureaucrats have to work constantly with the political executives to fulfill the visions that have been envisaged. Unholy nexuses between the two disrupts the idea of any services that are being provided to people. It leads to corruption and misallocation of resources. Adequate measures should be taken to curb this unholy nexus, but cooperation between the two should be there.
Okay, last question. What is this concept of direct benefit transfer?
So direct benefit transfer has been suggested in the recent times to prevent the transfer through various middle channels to the people and instead following up a digitized identity authentic transfer to the people.
This is already being done in respect of some of the subsidies. Can you think of one or two examples?
Sorry, sir, I'm not able to.
Okay, that's right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
How much saving this DBT has brought about to the government?
Sorry, sir, I'm not aware of the figure.
80,000.
Okay.
This is Prime Minister's system.
Thank you, sir.
How many Jandan accounts have been opened so far?
Sorry, sir, not aware of the figure.
No?
No, sir.
Are you reading newspapers?
Yes, sir.
Did you take a look at the budget?
Yes, sir.
Budget says in the last 5 years, 34 crores accounts have been opened. Do you not read it?
Sir, I'm not remember the figure.
What is the constitutional provision which governs the relationship between LG and the state government?
It says Article 239 AA.
Double. Right. Now, last year, Delhi government, our government announced a budget claiming that they are making huge allocations to health and education. How much percentage of the GDP did they allocate for these two subjects?
Sorry, sir, not aware.
No idea. What is this controversy about NRC in Northeast?
So NRC is a National Register of Citizens. Recently, the Supreme Court has mandated that the people who are legal citizens of India, their register should be made in the NRC and the process should be expedited so that illegal immigration could be curbed from the Bangladesh.
So then what happened? How many people were excluded?
So 40 lakh people were excluded.
So then there was a furore, then again some issues have cropped up. What is Supreme Court saying now?
So the exclusion of 40 lakh people is on the ground of them not having the right documents. So time was given to the Assam government to further start the
To
process
review their
once
cases
again.
also.
Yes.
So what is the final date now, Supreme Court?
Sorry, sir, madam.
You read it.
Sorry.
They have given June or July.
Okay, sir.
Now, socio-economic justice, right? What are the provisions in the Constitution which are enforceable for promoting socio-economic justice? Give some provisions.
Can I think, sir?
Yes.
Under Article 15, where affirmative action.
15. You just give the provision. 15,
Article
you are
15,
right.
16.
16, 15, 16, excellent. What else?
Article 23
Why 23?
regarding the trafficking.
Very good, 23.
24 regarding child labor.
Child labor. Good, excellent, you're doing well. What else?
These other things.
Hmm?
These I am able to recall.
What about 17, 18?
Yes, sir. Article 17.
Untouchability and
And yes.
abolition of titles.
Yes, sir.
Maharaja and
Yes.
Raj Bahadur.
Yes, sir.
What about 73, 74 amendment themselves?
Yes,
They
sir.
also provide justice or not?
Yes, sir.
How?
Because they
Give
improve
reservation to women and
the scheduled
scheduled
class
castes.
and scheduled.
Right? Now, what is ICDC? Integrated Child Development Scheme. ICDS.
So, Integrated Child Development Scheme aims at providing the basic services of health, nutrition, and basic education of 0 to 6 years to children through Anganwadi services and auxiliary midwives.
And also for women also.
Yes, for the pregnant and the lactating women.
All right. So, you said you read the budget. How much allocation is there for ICDS now this year?
So 50% has been there has been an increase of 50% with regard to the salaries.
No. You haven't read.
Sorry, sir, I will read it.
Only 18%.
Sorry,
So, what is the total amount?
sorry, sir.
All right. You have done reading. You read. What do you read?
Sir, I read poetry and non-fiction books.
Non-fiction. Which is the latest you read?
So the latest I've read is *Sapiens* by Yuval Noah Harari.
Sapiens by.
Yuval Noah Harari.
Okay. What does it say?
So it says about the evolution of human beings.
Mm-hmm.
So from right from the when the humans were evolved from the apes to the superhumans that we are envisaging through the advancement in technology. The book details about how sapiens have evolved over the years.
Over the years.
Yes.
And when did this change take place? That we became a thinking people. Yes, sapiens. When did this change take place? How many years ago?
So I don't remember the year, but it was a cognitive revolution which took place, which made sapiens a thinking species and distinguished it from the other animal species.
Now, does it in any way use the Darwinian theory or contradict Darwinian theory?
Yes, sir, it does use the Darwinian theory of natural selection. However, because of the cognitive revolution, human beings gained an edge over the other species, and therefore their survival became much more chances of their survival took place.
And what poetry do you like?
So I write all the kinds of poetry, but mostly on the observation poetry.
Name some poets which you like.
So I followed John Keats, Rupi Kaur in the recent times, then T.S. Eliot. These.
I see. Which poem of John Keats is your favorite?
Ode to the Autumn.
Ode to Autumn. English literature was your subject. That's why you like all this, right? Good. So we close the interview here. I will give you a little feedback. You performed very well. You have been able to handle most of the questions nicely. We assess that your interview would be largely based on your depth and on current affairs, constitutional issues, and Supreme Court judgments. That is why we have asked you questions Since you're from Delhi, we have asked you questions on Delhi. Delhi's the like safety, water problem, you say, state government relationship with the LG, what has been the tussle. Then you check about this budget, etc.
Yes.
Then current affairs, I think you take a second look at the budget. Budget provides a lot of information about the welfare programs, then like Saubhagya, electrification, etc. Ujjwala, all this is contained. It's just about 3-4 pages, but then it has a very lot of good information. Then also on social welfare programs, and especially women uplift. इस पे भी जरा सा आपको ध्यान रखो. Then we have asked you about your current, your hobbies, and you have given the absolutely correct replies. It's very good. In current affairs, I would suggest you should also take a look at important things like America has walked away from the nuclear treaty. Now, Mr. Putin has also announced that we are also scrapping it. What is this treaty? Intercontinental Ballistic Missile Treaty. And what is the reason that they are acting like this? Then Venezuela, Huawei, these are some of the important areas. तो इस पर ही आपको ध्यान देना है. करंट अफेयर्स जरूर पढ़ते रहिए बहुत केयरफुली. सुप्रीम कोर्ट के मेजर जजमेंट से कुछ तो आपने बड़े अच्छे बताए हैं. 377 प्राइवेसी वगैरह सभी माना. और भी इम्पोर्टेंट है like 497. Then there is the Supreme Court is dealing with cases like surveillance on computers,
Yes.
and Lokpal bill. It's dealing with the 1100 encounters in UP.
Yes.
These are some of the important issues. इस पर ही अगर आप ध्यान देंगे, then I'm sure you will be able to handle the interviews. Okay? All right.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you, sir.